At 9:12 a.m., I saw my own work on the screen, and my name wasn't on it. The conference room lights were too bright, the kind that make your skin look tired. I sat at the end of the table with my notebook open. My tiny silver stapler was in my bag. I don't know why I brought it. Habit, I guess. Like a lucky charm. Cal, my manager, clicked his pen like it was keeping time. Derek stood by the TV screen with the remote. He looked calm. Too calm. Cal said, "We need to talk about the delay." "Maya, this can't happen again." My stomach dropped. I stared at the screen. It was my dashboard. My colors. My layout. Even the weird little spacing mistake I always forget to fix. But the title said, Q3 Efficiency Overview, prepared by Derek L. I didn't blink. I couldn't. If you've ever lived through workplace betrayal, you know that moment. Your body freezes. Your mind races. And you start counting exits. Stay with me, because one boring little paper trail turned into an HR investigation, and it ended with Derek begging me to fix it while the audit report sat on the table. Cal kept talking. I barely heard him. I heard the air conditioner buzz. I heard Derek's shoes squeak when he shifted his weight. And I heard myself think one clear thing. I'm going to lose my job if I don't prove what happened. So let me take you back. Back to when Derek and I were almost friends. Back to the cracked blue mug on my desk that said Monday Mode. Back to the week I handed him a file, trusting him like an idiot. This is the story of how I stopped being the easy one. 2 months earlier, the office felt like a place I could handle. It was open plan. Rows of desks. Low gray walls. A constant hum of keyboards and quiet phone calls. The break room always smelled like burnt coffee and cinnamon oatmeal. I was good at my job. Not flashy. Just solid. I made messy stuff make sense. I wanted the team lead role. Not because I needed power. I just wanted stability. Better pay. Less panic every time rent was due. Derek started on our team the same week our old lead left. He wasn't rude. He wasn't loud. He was smooth. The kind of person who laughs at the right time and remembers your coffee order. On my second week working with him, I froze on a client call. My voice did that thing where it goes thin and shaky. Derek jumped in fast. He said, "No worries. Maya's pulling up the latest numbers now. We're on it." After the call, I stared at my screen, embarrassed. Derek leaned against my desk and said, "You did fine. People get nervous." "Yeah," I said. "I hate calls." He nodded like he understood. "I can take the next one if you want." That was the humanizing moment. The one that made me trust him. I should have noticed the small stuff after that. Red flag 1 came on a Thursday afternoon. I'd built a report that took me all week. I had comments in the document. Notes for Cal, questions for finance. Derek rolled his chair over and smiled. He said, "Can you send me the file without comments? Cleaner that way." I hesitated. "Why?" He shrugged. "Cal hates clutter. I'll format it and submit." He said it like he was helping. And I was tired. So I did it. Red flag 2 was in meetings. I'd say, "We should track delays by vendor, not by route." 10 minutes later, Derek would say, "What if we track delays by vendor instead?" Cal would nod like Derek was brilliant. I'd sit there with my cracked blue mug and tell myself it wasn't worth making it weird. Red flag 3 was his favorite line. "I'll handle submissions." He said it with confidence, like it was a burden he carried for the team. Cal loved it. Cal hated details. He hated conflict more. One afternoon, I caught Cal by the printer. The toner smell was strong. The fluorescent light flickered over the paper tray. I said, "Cal, can we talk about ownership on the Q3 dashboard?" He barely looked up. "You two are a team." "It's fine. It matters for my performance review," I said. Cal sighed. "No drama, Maya. Just keep producing." That was the lie I swallowed. If I work hard, it'll be seen. That night, I sat in my car in the parking garage. The concrete walls made every sound echo. I ate cold fries from a paper bag and practiced a speech out loud. "I need credit for my work," I said to the steering wheel. Then I laughed at myself, because I knew I wouldn't say it like that. I drove home with the radio low, and my thoughts loud. By Monday, I had that uneasy feeling, like I'd stepped onto ice and heard it crack. The next week, we had a deadline for a big internal review. Cal wanted a clean deck. Numbers, charts, action steps. Something he could forward up the chain. I built the whole thing. Late nights. Early mornings. I even named versions like I always do. Q3_dashboard_Maya_V1. Q3_dashboard_Maya_V2. On Friday, Derek rolled over again. He said, "Send it to me. I'll combine it with my section." "What section?" I asked. He smiled. "The summary. The words part. You hate the words part." That was true. I did hate the words part. I liked clean data. Clean logic. So I sent it. But this time I didn't just send a file. I sent an email. Subject: Q3 dashboard. Version for review. In the body, I wrote, "Here's the latest. Please keep my name on the cover slide. Also, the vendor delay insight is new." I stared at that line before I hit send. My finger hovered. My heart beat faster. Then I sent it anyway. Derek replied 2 minutes later. He wrote, "Of course. Got it." And I felt relief. Like, okay, maybe I'm overthinking. That weekend, I tried to relax. I cleaned my apartment. I folded laundry. I watched a show I didn't care about. But my brain kept replaying Derek's smile. Monday morning, I walked into the office early. The sky outside was gray. The windows reflected the overhead lights, making the floor look colder than it was. My cracked blue mug waited on my desk. I rinsed it and poured coffee. At 8:47 a.m., Derek messaged me on chat. He wrote, "Can you resend the file? The last one won't open." That made no sense. It was a normal file. It opened fine for me. I typed back, "Sure. Same one." He wrote, "Yeah. Without comments, please." There it was again. Without comments. My stomach did a slow turn. I didn't call him out. Not yet. I sent the same file. But I also saved everything. I dragged the emails into a folder. I took a screenshot of the chat. Not because I planned revenge. Because something felt off. At 9:05 a.m., Cal sent a meeting invite. Urgent. Q3 review. I wasn't on the invite at first. I only saw it because Derek forwarded it and said, "Heads up." I opened the forwarded invite. I could see the little line at the bottom. Forwarded by Derek. I walked to Cal's office. His door was half closed. The light inside was dim, like he never fully woke up. I knocked. Cal looked annoyed before I even spoke. I said, "I wasn't on the original invite." Cal said, "Derek's presenting. It's faster." "But it's I stopped myself. "I changed it. It's our dashboard." Cal leaned back. "Maya, don't make this a thing." That was the red flag that finally felt loud. The air got quiet in my ears, like my body was bracing. I walked back to my desk and opened my sent emails. I didn't know exactly what Derek was doing yet, but I knew I needed proof. The meeting started at 9:10 a.m. I walked into the small conference room with frosted glass walls. You could see shapes outside, but no faces. Like the room was hiding secrets on purpose. The TV screen glowed blue. Derek connected his laptop. The cable clicked into place. That sound felt final. I sat down and set my notebook on the table. My hands were cold. The room smelled like dry erase markers. Cal sat near the head. He had that "let's get this over with" look. Derek said, "All right. I'll walk us through the Q3 efficiency overview." He clicked. And there it was. My dashboard. My fonts. My colors. And his name. Prepared by Derek L. My throat tightened so fast I almost coughed. Cal nodded along like this was normal. Derek clicked again and said, "We also found a vendor delay pattern." He pointed at the exact chart I'd built at 1 a.m. last Wednesday. Cal said, "Nice. This is the kind of thinking we need." I stared at the corner of the slide, hoping my name would appear somewhere.
It didn't.
Then Cal looked right at me. He said, Maya, about the earlier file issues. We can't have broken versions sent around. I blinked.
What?
Cal's pen clicked.
Click. Click.
He said, Derek said you sent files that wouldn't open, and the first draft had errors. I felt heat rise up my neck. I kept my voice steady. I didn't send broken files. Derek didn't look at me. He looked at the screen. He said, It's okay. I fixed it. I turned to Derek. You told Cal my file was broken? Derek finally looked at me. His eyes were flat. He said, I'm just trying to protect the team.
Protect the team.
I wanted to laugh. Not because it was funny, because it was so bold. Cal raised his hand like a traffic cop. He said, Enough. We have leadership on this email chain. Derek, send the final deck. Then Cal looked at me again. He said, Maya, we'll talk after. The meeting ended fast. People filed out. Shoes squeaked on the tile. Someone's phone buzzed. I stayed seated for a second, staring at the blank screen after Derek disconnected. The room suddenly felt too big. I walked out behind Derek. In the hallway, under the harsh lights, I said quietly, Why did you take my name off? He didn't stop walking. He said, Don't start. It's just a slide. It's my work, I said. He turned, finally. He smiled like I was being childish. He said, We're all replaceable, Maya. Relax. That line didn't just hurt. It cleared my head. I went back to my desk. My cracked blue mug sat there like it was watching. I opened the deck Derek had shared last week, the one in the team folder, and I saw something that made my hands shake. The file name wasn't mine anymore. Q3_efficiency_deck_final_Derek. But when I clicked version history, my name was all over it. Edits, timestamps, comments removed. And then I found the real receipt, an email from finance. The chain that showed the vendor approval Derek said he handled. In that chain, the approval was missing because Derek had removed someone from the thread. That missing approval was what caused the delay Cal blamed on me. I could see it in plain text. A line that read, Approval needed before release. And the timestamp, Friday, 4:58 p.m., 2 minutes before Derek emailed Cal and said my file had issues. I sat there, staring at the screen. The office noise faded. All I could hear was the low buzz of the lights and my own breathing. Everything changed. By lunch, I felt like everyone could see the story on my face. Like I had liar stamped on my forehead. I couldn't eat. I sat in my car again in the parking garage, the same concrete walls, the same echo. I held my keys so tight they left marks in my palm. I kept thinking about Cal's voice. We can't have broken versions. And Derek's voice. We're all replaceable. I opened my phone and scrolled through my screenshots. The chat message, the email, the version history. It was all there. But I still felt embarrassed. Because part of me kept asking, why didn't I speak up earlier? That's the worst part of betrayal. You start blaming yourself for trusting. I went back inside and walked to the break room. The coffee machine gurgled like it was choking. Nina from HR was there stirring tea. She looked up and said, Hey Maya, you okay? You look pale. I almost lied. I almost said, I'm fine. Instead, I said, I think something happened with my project, and I have receipts. Nina's face changed. Not dramatic, just focused. She said, Do you want to sit in my office? Quiet space. Her office was small. Warm lamp light. A plant that looked like it was barely alive. A stack of policy binders. I sat down, and my voice cracked a little. I said, I don't want drama. I just want the truth. Nina nodded. She said, Then we do it clean.
Timeline. Documents.
No side conversations. I stared at my hands. And I'm going to ask you something because I still think about it. If you were me, would you report it? Or would you quit and start over? Because in that moment, those were the only two options I could see. I drove home that night with the sun low and orange. My apartment felt too quiet. I set my tiny silver stapler on my kitchen table like it was a promise. I had a choice. If stories like mine help you spot red flags, stick around. The next morning, I got up early. The sky was still dark. My living room lamp made a small circle of light on the table. I opened my laptop and made a folder called Q3 Timeline. Step 1. I saved everything I already had. Emails, chats, deck versions, meeting invites. Step 2. I wrote a timeline in plain language. Not angry, not dramatic, just facts. Friday 4:58 p.m. Finance email states approval needed. Friday 5 p.m. Derek emails Cal about file issues. Monday 8:47 a.m. Derek requests file, without comments. Monday 9:12 a.m. Deck presented with Derek's name. Step 3. I requested a copy of the version history from the official system, not my screenshots. I didn't try to hack anything. I didn't sneak around. I just used the tools we already had. Step 4. I emailed Nina. Subject: formal concern plus timeline attached. I wrote, I'm requesting an HR review for credit misattribution and process interference. My hands shook when I hit send. Then the setback hit. At 11:03 a.m., Cal called me into his office. The blinds were half closed. His desk was cluttered with papers he never read. He didn't ask me to sit. He said, I heard you went to HR. My chest tightened. I spoke to Nina, yes. Cal rubbed his forehead. He said, why would you do that? Now, it's a whole thing. I kept my voice calm. Because I have proof. Cal's jaw tightened. He said, Derek's a strong performer. Don't burn bridges. That sentence told me everything. Cal wasn't neutral. He was scared. He wanted the easiest path. I said, I'm not burning anything. I'm documenting what happened. Cal leaned forward. He said, if leadership thinks you're difficult, that follows you. There it was. The pressure. The quiet threat, without saying the word threat. I stood there, heart pounding, and I made myself breathe. I said, I'd rather be difficult than dishonest. Cal stared at me like I'd spoken another language. I walked out with my knees feeling weak. At my desk, I saw Derek watching me from across the aisle. He looked amused, like he was waiting for me to crash. I didn't glare back. I didn't message him. I opened my folder and kept organizing. Because my plan wasn't to destroy him. My plan was to make it impossible for anyone to pretend. By late afternoon, Nina emailed me back. She wrote, thank you. We're initiating a review. IT audit will confirm file ownership and edits. I stared at that line until my eyes watered. Not from sadness. From relief. It was time. The HR meeting was set for Thursday at 2 p.m. All day, my stomach felt like it was full of rocks. I couldn't focus. Every time my phone buzzed, my hands jumped. At 1:55, I walked to the conference room with frosted glass. Same room as before. Same harsh lights. But this time, I wasn't alone. Nina was there with a notebook.
Calm.
Professional. Jordan from IT audit rolled in a laptop cart. He wore a plain hoodie and looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Cal showed up last, pretending he wasn't nervous. Derek arrived right after Cal. He had a coffee in hand like it was just another meeting. He smiled at Nina.
He said, hey.
Happy to clear up confusion. Nina nodded once. Let's begin. We sat. The air conditioner buzzed. The clock on the wall ticked loud. Nina said, Maya submitted a timeline and supporting documents. Derek, you've been named in the report. This is your opportunity to respond. Derek spread his hands. He said, I didn't steal anything. We collaborate. I just packaged it. My mouth went dry. I looked at Nina, then at Jordan. Nina said, Jordan, can you walk us through the file history? Jordan flipped his laptop around so we could all see. That was the pattern interrupt. No emotions. Just data. Jordan said, this deck was created under Maya's user ID. He clicked. A list of edits appeared. Timestamps. Names. My name. Over and over. Then Derek's name, later, with a neat block of changes. Jordan said, at 8:53 a.m. Monday, comments were removed. At 8:55, the cover slide was edited. The room went quiet. I heard Derek's coffee cup touch the table. A small clink. Jordan kept going. He said, also, the meeting invite for Monday shows the organizer was Derek. Maya was added after the original send. Cal shifted in his chair. Nina looked at Derek. She said, Derek, did you remove Maya's name from the deck? Derek's smile twitched. He said, it's a template thing. The name on the cover doesn't matter. I finally spoke. My voice was steady, but my hands were under the table, gripping my tiny silver stapler in my pocket. I said, it mattered when Cal blamed me for file issues. Cal opened his mouth, then closed it. Nina said, let's address the file issues. Maya provided an email from finance. She slid a printed page across the table. No personal info visible, just the relevant lines and timestamps. The paper made a soft scrape sound. Nina said, this shows an approval requirement. Maya states she was removed from the chain. Derek, can you explain? Derek looked at the page and then back at Nina. He said, I didn't remove anyone. I don't even know how. Jordan cleared his throat. He said, email logs show the thread was forwarded and altered in recipients. I can't say intent. I can say what happened. Derek's face went pale. He looked at me for the first time like I wasn't invisible. And in that look I could tell. He realized it was me. Not because I was smug. Because he recognized my timeline format. The way I label times down to the minute. The way I keep diner receipts and note dates. He'd joked about it once, calling me the spreadsheet detective. Now it wasn't a joke. Nina said, Derek, at this stage, we're documenting findings. There are policy concerns, misrepresentation of work product, and interference with business process. Cal's voice came out small. He said, Derek, why didn't you just present it as a joint effort? Derek swallowed hard. He said, because he stopped. He tried again. Because leadership wants one owner. I was trying to make us look strong. Nina didn't argue. She just wrote. Jordan closed his laptop with a soft snap. Nina said, here's what happens next. Derek, you're removed from the lead track review pending outcome. You'll be reassigned temporarily. There will be formal documentation. Derek's chair squeaked as he leaned forward. He looked right at me, eyes wide. He said, Maya, come on. We can fix this. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult him. I said, you already fixed it. You fixed it so my name disappeared. Derek's hands trembled. He said, I'll tell Cal it was a misunderstanding. Just please. Nina cut in, calm as a lock clicking shut. She said, Derek, do not pressure another employee. Speak to HR. That was it. The begging. The boundary. The rest was paperwork and silence. When the meeting ended, Cal tried to catch me in the hallway. The frosted glass made our shadows look like strangers. Cal said, Maya, I didn't know. I looked at him and felt something surprising. Not rage. Clarity. I said, you didn't want to know. Then I walked away. You didn't want to know. Maya, come on. We can fix this. You already fixed it. You fixed it, so my name disappeared. 2 weeks later, the office felt different. Not friendly. Not perfect. Just honest. Derek was moved to a different team on a different floor. People said it was temporary. Then it became permanent. A month after that, I heard he resigned. No cheering. No party. Just a quiet consequence that fit what he'd done. Cal scheduled a one-on-one with me. Morning light came through his blinds in thin stripes. He cleared his throat and said, I want to acknowledge your work on Q3. It was strong. I didn't say thank you right away. I said, I need clear ownership going forward. Cal nodded fast.
Yes.
Agreed. And for the first time, I believed him. Not because he changed overnight. Because HR was watching now. Because the process was documented.
Because the truth had a file name.
A few days later, Nina emailed me. She wrote, "Case closed. Thank you for handling this professionally." I printed that email and put it in a folder at home, not as a trophy, as a reminder that I don't have to be quiet to be safe. That Friday, after work, I went to the diner near the office. Same corner booth, same sticky menu. The waitress brought me fries. Hot this time. I held my cracked blue Monday mode mug in my mind, even though it was back at my desk. And I thought about that opening moment. At 9:12 a.m., I saw my own work on the screen. And my name wasn't on it. Now, my name is on what I do. In the file. In the process. In the room. And my boundary is simple. I don't hand over my work without context, credit, and a clear trail. If you've ever been in a situation like this, I hope my story helps you trust your gut sooner. And if stories like mine help you spot red flags, you know where to find me. Next time, I'll tell you about the person who smiled at me for months and tried to bill my name like it was theirs.